drive along Highway 21 will take you to Stanley, in the eastern shadow of Idaho's Sawtooth Range.
Stanley's always just a great getaway.
A town with just over 100 residents. It swells with sightseers and trail seekers in the summertime.
Hi.
Business owners try to meet their yearly budget.
And then a Reuben, you said?
In just 4 months.
We get thousands of tourists who are here to recreate in the mountains and rivers.
3608 for you.
That we're so close by.
All right, thank you so much.
That's our main product, hospitality in this town.
But a drive there these days, visitors get another view of Stanley. One that stands out, almost as what's left of a summer, waylaid by wildfires.
One night that we had a string band playing, and you could see flames on the ridge line behind it. And it was this, it was a surreal moment, I'll say.
Tim Cron has owned the Stanley Bakery for 21 years and the Sawtooth Hotel for the last 16.
We've had wildfires almost every year, but never this close.
In July, the Sawtooths were hit with 2 back-to-back wildfires. And although the town survived without losing any buildings, the damage was still done to local businesses.
I felt like we lost momentum, and then it was hard to build it back up. There was moments that were good in there, but it just wasn't consistently solid business.
Jim Slanitz has owned the casino club for the last 5 years. He says this summer was the slowest yet.
You know, I've talked to more firefighters in the last month than I probably have in the rest of my life. So
can't control acts of, Mother Nature.
But even for the newest business owner in town, he knew the calm after the storm was unusual.
What was it like after that?
Slow.
For Trip Costas, it was his first summer owning the Rod and Gun, after its owners of 53 years sold it.
It's like doing business on an island in a way. You're in this rugged mountain environment, and that certainly presents its set of challenges.
And he really only experienced a month of typical seasonal business.
We could see the business just doing this. I mean, it was just a steady 20% week over week increase over the previous week, and then it kind of plateaued at the Bench Lakes fire, and then we kind of started going up again, and then Wapiti came and really threw a curveball at us for sure.
Business dried up overnight. The question faced for all was smoke, evacuations, and no one coming to town. Was it worth staying open?
It was both easy and hard.
For the Rod and Gun, it was, but not for many others.
In all our years doing this, we've never had to shutter the doors. We've kind of always persevered through wildfires.
The bakery closed up shop for 9 days. It was a break to roll with the punches. The casino club took it one day at a time.
There was days we were like, okay, let's open up for tomorrow, and it would just be smoked in and just almost apocalyptic. And we'd go like, okay, like this is not, we shouldn't have opened today. And then we would, then we would close like the next, say, okay, we're not open the next couple of days, because we were kind of playing it by ear because you didn't know what the next day was going to bring.
He says it was impossible to find a strategy, and most of his seasonal workers called it early.
We got down to a skeleton crew, so we were able to kind of make it work. And that was okay. So we did keep people employed, and everyone that wanted to be here and be employed, we kept them on.
They even canceled one of their summer concerts.
It was a tough one to, because you have the band booked and you want to stand by your obligations to them, and we just didn't have the numbers that I know we would have had not the fire been going on.
In the end, Casino Club was about 25% down in sales compared to the summer before.
I think, 1A plates are probably half our business in the summer. And if you take away that, you've cut it way down.
Yeah, I think there was a certain perception, even if it was well-meaning, that the town was literally on fire, that we personally were on fire, and it became a bit frustrating to battle back against that.
But once the smoke cleared, Costas says it was like falling in love for the first time.
Just missing those mountains for, a month, even when you could see them, but it was through a smoky haze, but then just having them in all of their glory again, I was like, this is really cool, because I get to fall in love with the Sawtooths again.
There's one word that all 3 of these Stanley owners agreed to describe this season.
I think Stanley is a pretty resilient place.
This small business community is resilient.
Yeah, I mean, the city's resilient.
Closing the books on this summer, Stanley is banking on reigniting the town's economic spark
I make sure I got everything.
instead of more fires.
How are your rest of your day?
Stanley can't wait for visitors to come back, and that's the simple solution to all of this is come visit us.
Death leaves a heartache no one can heal, but the memories of the ones we lost become a treasure.
I need to get some paint and touch up this.
When Teresa Andrew wants to feel her friend, she'll visit the horse chestnut tree in Boise's Kristen Armstrong Park.
A good friend deserves to be remembered.
Andrew says Susan was a woman who adored many hobbies, like cooking, soccer, and horseback riding.
Horses were probably her true love. I think if she was here now, she would still be breeding and training horses.
Newby died mysteriously in 2008 from a horseback riding accident while at Rock Canyon in Eagle with her husband Mark.
He answered the phone and he was kind of sobbing and said that she'd fallen off the horse had bucked her off and she was in the canyon and she didn't survive.
But something felt off to her friends and family.
I just felt haunted. I felt like she was telling me something's wrong. She wouldn't walk her horse along the edge of a cliff, and horses would not walk along the edge of a cliff.
It wasn't until after her death police suspected she was most likely in an abusive relationship with her husband. Ada County Sheriff's Office says they suspect Mark pushed Sue off her horse and off the cliff of the canyon. When deputies went to serve a search warrant at their house, they say Mark barricaded himself inside. He died by suicide.
We were finding out all these things that we didn't know about, the isolation and the browbeating and all the different things to get control of her.
She says it was hard to hear.
It was a really heartbreaking thing that we couldn't help her at the time because we didn't know.
Sue's friends and family turned to the Women's and Children's Alliance for support.
I remember very clearly getting a call from Marge, who's Sue's sister, and they really wanted to honor her memory.
Now Sue is honored every year at the Sue Bee 10K walk event, this year being the 15th.
It's a good day. I get excited when I see people, especially kids and younger people, because they need to know. I think it's important that they come and they learn that you don't need to be treated, it's wrong. You shouldn't be treated that way.
The event allows for conversations about domestic violence to take place.
Having that opportunity to recognize in the midst of something so tragic that can be an opportunity to help others better understand what to look out for and also what the resources are.
And a promise the ones close to Sue Bee continue to keep.
We promised Sue on her deathbed that we would never let her be forgotten. So here we are.
I can't think. I don't understand the good reason to remove those things. They're no kind of a threat. They're only a resource.
Wednesday, the Idaho State Board of Education passed a DEI ideology resolution that says DEI centers cannot be on public Idaho universities. Boise State and Idaho State University already closed the doors on their DEI centers prior to the resolution passing. The University of Idaho says they will close the doors to their 6 different DEI offices before spring semester.
My heart breaks.
Mario Piles is the director of the Black and African American Cultural Center at U of I. He says the center was set to celebrate 3 years in January.
We were just at the very beginning of making some wonderful inroads of building this community here, and to see it go away does break my heart. And yeah, I may not be crying right now, but internally I'm devastated.
Why is it important that universities have resources like the centers we saw in the Equity and Diversity Unit?
It's a question that I wish everyone would ask themselves. Students who do stay face all kinds of psychological harm, from levels of microaggressions to just blatant racism, and have no outlet. and have no one who can connect with them and help them navigate those spaces. And that takes a toll on a person's heart, mind, and soul. And if the university doesn't provide real, tangible spaces for that and people and human people, I see mass exoduses across the United States.
Francisco Salinas was the director of the Multicultural Affairs Office at U of I in the early 2000s. He, too, is disappointed with the changes.
Intentional work to diversify higher education in the academy is part of the work of overcoming the legacy of racism that's built into the systems in higher education. What you're basically doing is denying that that kind of reality exists at all.
The resolution intends to create student support spaces for all students and alludes that DEI centers are divisive. Francisco says that's incorrect.
It's really frustrating to hear those characterizations from what seems to me to be folks who have not spent any time in those spaces or with those students.
For Mike Sants, who's held multiple former positions with the U of I, he says he's concerned for students' well-being.
When you say you don't get a women's center or you don't get a Black and African student center, you've done the damage by telling them they don't belong. Depression is a major problem. Anxiety is a major problem for students who are coming from these backgrounds to these new environments.
Mario, Francisco, and Mike all say the damage is already done.
These spaces and these resources for students is the acknowledgement that the isms of life are real and that they require resources and strategies.
I don't think presidents across the United States, across Idaho, want ill intent to students who don't look like them. I don't believe that. I do believe that people generally want to see the best for all students. We just disagree on what that looks like within the details.